So you want to be a high school football coordinator. Let's talk about how to do it. Hey, what's going on YouTube? Mr. Football Coach here, and today I wanted to talk about basically how I became a high school coordinator. My current position is a high school varsity defensive coordinator, if you want to make it, if you want to call it that as my exact title. But I've been doing this now for over 3 years, and I first started way back in 2017. And kind of it's led me up to this point now where I feel like I've definitely learned quite a bit in my time as a coordinator, and I've basically spent 3 years as a position coach, 3 years as coordinator, and now I'm kind of like I've seen both sides, and haven't been to the head coach. Actually, I mean, I've been a head coach, but not at the high school level. And so I want to talk about the high school level, and what if you're looking to get, you're looking to move positions from, a position assistant coach to high school coordinator, or just a coordinator position in itself. You want to call plays on offense or defense or even special teams is always, something to look at. So I'm going to talk about how I got to be a defensive coordinator, what I did to better myself and stand out among other candidates in order to get basically the job of my dreams. So, this all started back in 2017, and at the very first school that I got a job at, I was looking to move into a coordinator role. And in the previous season, I was kind of I guess you would say, the special teams coordinator, if you want to call it that. I basically kept up with, who was going on the field, what packages we were running in special teams, like if we were, if we had an onside, if we had a team that was going onside, it's like we needed a special group of kids in there or something like that. For the most part, I called kickoff and kickoff return. And so after having a little bit of fun and a little success with that, and kind of seeing what it would take to be a coordinator, it didn't really hit me until that next following season, when I started to look at getting another job, and that job was going to be a coordinator position. It was going to be the defensive coordinator, and so that was kind of how it all started. And I'd had some connections to at least the school that I graduated from in high school, and that's where I'm currently at. But what ended up happening was I'd had an interview, a phone interview with the head coach, and we had talked about philosophy and scheme and so forth. And I'd been talking about we had both kind of come to the conclusion that I wanted to be a 4.25 guy, and they were wanting to be 4.25. And so it kind of came to the conclusion that I was at least the best fit for that. And crazy enough is I had started studying the 4.25 many months ahead, and really started putting it together, like what I would do. And then all of a sudden, it all came to me, and I started looking up the 4.25 defense. I got on Joe Daniel Football's website, and I downloaded the ebook that was the 4.25 ebook that he sells and is a part of all his stuff. And that it took me into another realm, and it basically allowed me to create a system. I haven't really talked about how I did it, but that's the first thing. If there's any value to what I'm saying here, is that you need a system, all right? Especially if you're being any kind of coordinator, whether it's whether you're an offensive coordinator, you need to have an identity. On offense, you can't have like just a big old stack of plays. All right. I mean, yeah, you can have a playbook and so forth, but you need to have a system. That playbook system needs to be able to be adapted year in and year out. To whereas, like, especially in high school, if you don't have the players to be in the spread offense, then you need to figure out something else to run. If you're primarily, a I formation power running team and you don't have the cats to do it, then maybe you need to look at something else. And so you have to look at and consider those things. For defense, it was about how can we make this simple? That was what I wanted to do. How can we be multiple in fronts and coverages and still play fast and aggressive? And that's what the 4-2-5 defense allowed us to do. And it's been great ever since we've installed it. And that really kind of basically laid the foundation for everything else. And if you're in special teams, I think the thing that you've got to consider is you've got to have a plan, you've got to have a strategy, you've got to have, ultimately a system for everything that you do with that as well. Whether you're calling one aspect of the game or another, coordinators' positions require a lot of time. Not only are you stepping into the realm of where you're going to be responsible for teaching positioning assistants, but you're also going to be working directly with the head coach in a closer role. So that all in itself is just a huge step up for anybody. It started for me at age 25. And so I've been doing it now for quite some time, and it's been phenomenal. And, I've called a lot of games and gotten a lot of experience from that. And it's just, it's invaluable, just like how much time you spend, working on that side. Now, granted, I've spent all my time as a coordinator, on the defensive side, and you really get a real appreciation of the other side. I will say, I study way more offense than I do defense, only because I'm looking for the current trends, in football and so forth. And obviously you can find a lot of that stuff, but not only, I'm still studying defense, just to try to get our players better. If there's one thing that I can say that set me apart from other candidates for this job and for other jobs, and I would say that if you can walk in with your system in hand and say, hey, I'm so-and-so, I want to be your offensive coordinator, your defense coordinator, whatever, walk in with a system. You got to have a plan, you got to have a system. And so I walked in to my interview with this. I had a 4-2-5 defensive portfolio, and I basically just kind of went through, and this isn't extensively long. I want to say this is about maybe 15 pages. And I basically just kind of started out. It wasn't really fancy. I mean, there's no fancy photos on it or anything. I put my name down at the bottom. But basically, I just went through and stated my philosophy. It was a page long. And I'll go through this another time with you guys, but I'm just going to kind of give you just a general sense about what we do. And then I just kind of went through and talked about like the base front of our defense and so forth, and named the strength calls and kind of described what the players would look like within the system. Like I kind of made up basically a chart where, if we're looking for a strong safety, like what are we looking for? Like what kid are we looking for? And so that kind of gave us a framework to look for with the other coaches and say, where does this player fit in? And we spend a lot of time doing that. And then you kind of go through, you kind of give them a little sample of the playbook, and that's about it. When you look at a hiring committee, they're probably not going to know a lot about football unless you have a lot of football coaches and a lot of football-minded people on there. But, if you're like me, you might have principals, counselors, and stuff like that. They're probably not going to really care about this. And so there's more to just getting the job rather than just knowing your X's and O's. So, you should already know your X's and O's, way before you even go into the interview. That's kind of part of it. And then obviously you've got to win them over for the interview. That was one thing that from what I was told really set me apart. It was handed out to multiple people. Afterwards they were asked if they could copy this and stuff, so they could share it with other administration, and it ended up working out really well for me at least. So that's how I did it, and from that I've just grown each year that I continue continue to learn, continue to advance my knowledge in football. And it just kind of leads you to the next thing. And so, being a coordinator for me it's very fun. I don't feel, defense is hard as it is. It's probably out of the 3 coordinator positions that are possible. At least within high school, sports, at least in football, you have the offensive coordinator, the defensive coordinator, and the special teams coordinator if they have that, which I think all 3 are awesome. You got to have them, but definitely defense is it's the tough one, and I enjoy the challenge. Would I much rather be on the dark side and call offensive plays? For me, I embrace what we do on defense, and that's just how I think. And so I think this has got to more about what my overall philosophy is, and kind of getting that job. But hopefully this helped you out in a way. And if it doesn't sound right, I'm going to go through and make some changes. But I just wanted to kind of say, this is how I did it. I made a portfolio that kind of went through and basically had my system laid out and what we do. And to this day, this has basically expanded into a larger manual that I print out each year to give to all of our coaches to, help them learn our system. And so that's kind of where it's gone from now. But that's how I did it. And that's where I've gotten to at this moment in my career. So I just wanted to say thank you guys for watching, especially if you stayed all the way here to the end of the video. I want to say thank you. And I just wanted to say, if you want to always talk football, you're always welcome to leave comments down in the comment section down below. And we'll be back here next Tuesday or Thursday with another video. We've got new videos coming out every Tuesday and Thursday for the time being. And we will see you guys next time. Thank you guys so much for watching. Mr. Football out.